the more comfortable we are with ourselves and the more self-awareness we have and the more at peace we are with ourselves and the more self-compassion we have, the less these societal expectations and this fear of judgment weighs us down.
Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Welcome to the show, friend. I have a new best friend, Candice, with me, and I'm really excited because we don't talk a lot about our careers. We talk a lot about ourselves. But what is career fulfillment, and how do we really find that love and passion and desire to keep getting up every day and going to the office or to your bedroom or wherever your computer is? Because some of us do work remote. But how do we find that fulfillment? And one of the things we were talking about was it really is, I really know who I am. I can have the right career to match. And maybe I just need to like it better or appreciate what I'm getting from it, because we all have goals and desires and we want to progress. And sometimes we feel stuck. But how do we get out of that? How can we feel more fulfilled in the things that are on our plate today? So Candice is here to share her wisdom in that area with us. The information about her is in the show notes. So let's jump right in, Candice, and help me feel more fulfilled in my career.
Yeah. I love this topic. For many, many years in my career, I wasn't fulfilled. And that's exactly why I started doing the work that I do now. And it really boils down to really digging into who I was and who you are and understanding your values. And one of the interesting things that I've learned is we should have one set of values, our drivers that guide how we move through the world, including our careers, and not separate career values from life values because, then we have a little bit of disconnection. So I'd encourage you to really dig deep and look at, how you navigate through the world and what values really inform the way that you do things. Because I think that that's foundational for career satisfaction.
But how do I know if that thing that I have on my values list is really
Mhm.
my value and not something I was taught?
Yeah.
Growing up, it was to be successful, you will have a job and you will work your 40 plus hours a week. And now you have value because you're employed.
Mhm.
And maybe that is something that was desired from the person teaching me
Mhm.
and not something, I have a son that works 3 hours a week. He just like, I work 3 hours a week. And you go, how do you make money? Can you do that? Because our values sometimes are like said in this, if you work your 8 to 5, if you do this and this, you will be wealthy.
Mhm.
You will be able to take care of your needs. But some people value their time over their
Mhm.
money. And so
Mhm.
how do I really dig in and find that? What is my real value? And what
Mhm.
was imposed on me through my what some people call domestication, how
Yeah.
we're supposed to show up in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a really great question, and one of the things that I would tell you to do is I know you've probably seen, like, these values lists where you can choose some values or, you think about things that everybody's kinda conditioned to say as a value of theirs, like success and family and all of these things that we believe should be values. I would say approach it from a narrative perspective, right? Write down stories or situations. Write down things that, you were at your best. right? Let's start there. Let's say, one time or one situation when I was truly at my best, and write it out in as much detail as you can possibly write it out. And then write another story about a time when you were really struggling. Maybe you were struggling to show up the way that you were expected to show up. And what are some of the things that you use to help you get through that moment? Write it out in as much detail as you can. And when you go back and read these stories, you'll start to find themes, things that pop out, maybe a trait that you have, or maybe something that you believe in, and pull these themes out. And these themes are pointing to things that you really value. And so I'd say that if you do it in a kind of a narrative approach, you can start to pull out some of your values. And then there's other techniques like maybe thinking about times when you're drained at work.
Hmm.
You can write down that situation as well. So this is a second exercise that you can probably do. If you think about things that drain you at work, what you can do is identify the people, the place, the situation, the task that you were doing. What is the thing that's really draining you? And then that'll help you identify things that are values of yours and things that go against your value system.
And that list that you were talking
Mhm,
about that exists. I mean, it might be a good place to start.
mhm,
Hey, what do I think? And my
mhm,
family is really important to me. And when you do that, put it down and you could pay attention during the week.
mhm,
If my family is on my value list,
mm,
when am I sacrificing family for other things? And how am
mm,
I responding? And how do I feel at that time? And maybe work trumped family. And then it's like, why am I allowing work to trump family? And it's like, because I want to make sure they have a roof over their head and I want to make sure they have food and they have all the extracurricular activities. Now you understand why work trumped family, because family as your value needs to be protected and taken care of. Where it's that self discovery. It's like, why am I saying family's my priority when I work so hard? And then make sure your family knows that that's that love language of that protection.
mm.
I want to protect you with the situation and the way you are today. And that's why sometimes work feels like it might be my priority. And
Yeah.
that
Laura
conversation.
Jane. Oh, I'm
Go ahead.
sorry.
No,
One
go
of the
ahead.
things I'm glad that you brought that up, because one of the things is yes, our family is a value of ours, and we love on our family and we want to provide for our family. But one of the things that I found that's really helpful for really narrowing down what's the what's the foundational core value there
Mhm.
is if you make your values actionable, right?
How do
And
we do
so
that?
yeah, so if let's say family is my core value, and then if I ask you, what is it about your family? Like, make that value actionable. And then you think a little bit deeper, and it could be providing for my family, which leads to a core value of security, right? It could be loving my family, which leads to a core value of love and care. It could be teaching my family. You can find all kinds of ways to make our surface core values, the ones that come off that list. It's a way to dig just a little bit deeper to really find what is it that I'm really getting at.
Yeah, I know that there was a time where I kept feeling like spending time with my mother kept
Mhm.
trumping everything.
Yeah.
And how do you dig down? It's like all of a sudden something's monopolized your time and you don't really resent it. You choose to do it because we all have choice every day. Um, but at the same time, you're feeling drained. And I think this practice of tapping into that value could really help you identify that pull? What are those two opposites? I think this is important, but I keep doing this. How do we bring that back into alignment when we kind of feel that pull and we dig down to find that core value of why am I letting this happen? And find a way to give yourself permission to really take care of your needs.
Yeah. And both things can be important. It's nothing wrong with, your career being important and spending time with your family feeling just as important. What it boils down to is when you start to feel a sense of discomfort and, maybe even like some internal resentment. And it's like, if you start to feel like I don't want my career to trump me spending time with my mom, I don't want work to take away from the valuable, precious things that I have under my roof at home, then you know that you have to set boundaries around your work and, give your all at the time that you're at work and then set those boundaries and, have a little bit of even a shutdown ritual. Because sometimes we can allow work to bleed into our home life, particularly if we work from home. Right. And so if you have this shutdown ritual and you know that you want to be done work at 5 o'clock so that you can spend time with your spouse and your kids and your aging parents, then perhaps at 4:45, your ritual consists of things like taking one last pass through my email and addressing things that are immediate. Um, Moving things from my Post-it notes that I have stuck all over my computer screen and my desk to my formal to-do list that's on my computer. And that way I can prioritize them tomorrow morning and just get yourself in a mindset of this shutdown ritual. And this might sound ridiculous, but part of my shutdown ritual is literally shutting down. I shut my computer screen and I say done and done. And that's my shutdown ritual. I do all the tasks, I shut down, I verbalize done and done, and then I move on to, my home life and my family life. And so if you know that spending time with your family is really important and work tends to bleed in or, sometimes seems to trump your home life, then put a boundary in place where you can, compartmentalize those things and really focus your energy where you want to.
You know, um, I also have heard a lot about people talking about work-life integration.
Yeah.
How do I make sure that neither of them are ever put on the back burner and
Yeah.
they're always there in the focus? And when my husband and I first got married, he's a general contractor. When we would be out, even on dates, even before we got married, we would be out on a date and it's like, I need to swing by a job and just make sure they got somewhere. And I would be so annoyed. I was like, this is my time. But I mean, now we've been married for 30 plus years, and it's like, you go, I get it. He was optimizing both my
Mm.
time and his work time. And it never was a bad thing. And so sometimes it's how we look at it and how we process it in our brain. And if you can appreciate what they're doing, that integration can help. Now, if you're jealous of all the other things, we can take it bad, or we can understand that they're
Mhm.
optimizing their time and taking care of both of us. And so we can do that too. Really like the shutdown routine that you talked about. I think I always had one. My last one, I went to the office all the time, was to say goodbye to my boss. And then we would end up talking for an hour. And that's like, okay, I didn't get shut all the way down.
Yeah.
But we at least work shut down. And it was a good transition. I know another person that gets home, shuts the garage, and waits and just kind of lets go of everything at the office before they walk into the house. And now that so many people are working at home, it's like, I will shut down my computer screens and everything and give myself a minute before I walk out the door. So how
Yeah.
can we implement that shutdown routine? Because I think it would add to a lot of, feeling fulfilled in both career and family. So let's take a quick break, get a word from our sponsor, and come back. And it's like, give us some ideas besides just cleaning up my desk of what that shutdown routine could be. So we'll be right back. Hey, since I rarely have openings in my coaching schedule, I have a new resource out there on my website. It is called the BFF Coaching Network. And I have offered a spot there for any coach that has been on the show to list their coaching. You can go out there, you can listen to their episodes, you can feel a little bit about them, and then choose a coach that will work for you. So LauraJaneLayton.com, the BFF Coaching Network. All right, Candice. I'm like thinking of all these things of what other people have said of like how they calm or how they disconnect and move on. And I thought, let's talk about that a little bit, because it may be something that we could implement and could be very successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a great idea about that.
No, let's do it.
Yeah. So one of the things, and again, to some, this may sound silly, but I think a good thing that you can do is, particularly if you work from home, because it can be very challenging to have that separation of home and work, and that shutdown routine doesn't feel as real. The way that you said that you knew somebody that sat in the car for a few minutes before they went in the house, I would say if you work from home, when you shut down for the day, take a walk. Take a walk. Put your coat on, go outside. It's almost, if you visualize it in your mind as your commute, and you take a walk around the block. Right. And so it really gives you that time to separate from work. So you're done, you shut down your computer, you cleaned your desk off, and you're mentally like, I'm done with work for the day. So now you just throw your coat on, you take a walk around the block. And then when you come home, you have a different energy around, now I'm home.
I love that. It made me kind of giggle because I had a friend that used to say, I ride my bike to and from work every day. And they literally would go into the garage, get out their bike, take a quick spin, and come, both directions. And that
Mm-hmm.
was their process. But I started, some of the things you said is, could it be like not exactly the same thing every day? Maybe there, like, for a while, there was a sound bath that
Mm-hmm.
was being done at a place close to where I worked right after, about that time after work. And on those days, I was like, I'm going to stop by here, do some meditation, relaxation, and then go home. So it could be something that you implemented. It's my routine, but it's not always available. How could you implement even some breathing in your commute home? Or if you don't, it's too friggin' cold to go outside or too hot, you know, could you do that meditation right before you walk out your office? And then, not trying to tell you you have to meditate. What I'm trying to say is, when we let go of the thoughts of the one thing and start appreciating where we're moving to, it's kind of that transition. And it's a meditation, but you don't have to visualize the person with crossed legs and, hands on their knees. It's it's your type. It's your transition type. So take a walk, do deep breaths.
Mm-hmm.
What else
Yeah.
could be fun?
Yeah. Deep breaths are a good idea. And something else that's come into mind for me, and this is, I love that you said, some form of meditation or maybe deep breathing or, whatever works for you. When you feel overwhelmed, there's this grounding technique, right? And not to say that you feel overwhelmed every day, but when you are trying to mentally and emotionally transition from a work state of mind to a more relaxed and home state of mind, perhaps you can use this grounding technique of 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. And so if you just, at the end of your workday, maybe if deep breathing isn't for you or getting outside where it's 5 degrees, I know it's 5 degrees in New Jersey today, you might not wanna go outside, then you can just do a grounding exercise. And it doesn't take long to do, it's just activating your senses, it's calming you down, and it's putting you more in a relaxed state. And you can do that after you close down your computer for the day and before you exit your office. It's just ground yourself and find yourself in a space where you have, mentally and emotionally transitioned from work to home.
That the 5 things is a great
Mhm.
process because it really pulls you out of your head. Because
Mhm.
now I'm not looking about what's been going on all day. It's like, what can I see? What
Yeah.
can I hear? And you've now focused your brain. And
Yeah.
I would use that even in transitions during the workday.
Yeah.
Like you're on project A, go, 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 go. And I somehow need to set that down and start
Mhm.
project B. And
Mm.
if I don't, they all get mixed up in my head. And I'm now thinking 3 things at once. And every interview I had been on for the last umpteen years, I tell people, I sometimes will hit I can't think anymore. I've got to drop it all and walk away because I missed that transition process of one
Mhm.
project to the other. And as you just get jumbled up, somehow you got to figure out which ball is the most important to pick up. And so when you realize and we all have our own little unique ways of dealing with stuff. I know I would get myself overwhelmed. And they understood. If I started getting overwhelmed in a meeting, I doodle. And it's like, I am paying attention if I'm doodling. So don't think I'm not. And not, everybody would always test me to see if I really was when I was doodling. But it's like knowing you. When you know you and how you interact, I set the expectation before it happened so I didn't have to feel guilty when it happened.
Mm.
Because the image of that successful person is they never get frazzled. The image of that successful person is they sit up straight and they take notes. And we try to mock or become like that image. And we can go, this isn't me. How can I share it before people go, oh, you're not? Oh, the other thing I would always share, I am a bad speller. If you are watching me take notes, don't cringe. They'll get cleaned up before it's over. But just let the flow go. So it's
Mhm.
setting that up front of, I know this is not the norm
Mhm.
or what is that expected,
Yeah.
but I am still successful and able to do high level things because I've learned to deal with them.
Yeah.
And I don't have to hide. I don't want to hide. And so maybe finding that thing that you're done hiding this week.
Mm. Yeah, really, really knowing yourself and understanding yourself is the first step to reclaiming your energy, whether at work or at home. It's so, so, so very important. And I have a practice that I'd like to offer up to you.
Ooh,
And this is an kind of an all day, it's called the pause and reflect method. And
okay.
so this is, maybe in the morning time before starting your work day, or maybe soon as you get to work and you have your cup of coffee and you're getting ready to boot up your computer, just pause and reflect on, what do I need today to feel my best or to be my best? And then you go on about your work day, and maybe around lunchtime, if you're not having anything happening during your day where you're feeling overwhelmed, but if your day starts to get kind of activated and stressful, then you can use it when you start to get activated. And then you can ask yourself, am I aligned with my values in this moment? And so this just kind of redraws you back to yourself. Because when our day starts to get activated and we start to get overwhelmed and the projects start to get too much and our boss and our coworkers and all this, the pings and all the things that we get on our computers, then you just reconnect to yourself. And then maybe at the end of the workday or in the evening time during your shutdown ritual or your around the block commute, you can pause and reflect again. What did I learn about myself today? Because we're constantly growing and we're constantly learning and we're constantly evolving. And so I think just taking those 3 pauses of what do I need? Am I moving in alignment with my values and what did I learn about myself today will constantly help us discover ourselves and, tune in to our
I
needs.
like it because a lot of times we don't pause and reflect on anything. We just keep
Mhm.
running.
Going and going.
I talk about the years and years and years that I was a robot. There was no emotion. I just had to get through the day and get all the things done. And that pause will bring you back to human, that give
Mhm.
you that sense of, I am taking care of myself. And I love what are my values for today?
Yeah.
What am I? Am I in alignment with them? And if not, that's okay.
Mhm.
It's when at that moment, you can think, how do I adjust my boundaries to help me not step over the line? How do I say, hey, it's 6 o'clock. I have got to go home. I have other commitments. And giving yourself permission to not be the superhero at work.
Mhm.
Because when you take care of yourself, you're going to be the superhero at work too.
Absolutely, and that is exactly the point. Like, it's okay if you recognize that you're not moving in alignment with your values. It's okay. It's reconnecting with yourself and saying, "All right now I'm kind of, moving in a direction that I really don't wanna move in, and how can I readjust? And, how can I, just kinda get back to what's important to me?" I love
Yeah.
that.
And what was important yesterday may not be important today.
Mhm.
And knowing that we change and we evolve and give yourself permission to, would you want to be that same person you were 10 years ago or when you were in kindergarten? We evolved and it may hurt when you're in that very initial transition spot of shedding the old and picking up the new, but it's a value and you are becoming more authentic as we move through and change. And sometimes we get less authentic because we cover up, but that's our choice. Maybe I got hurt yesterday and I feel very inclined, not physically, but emotionally. I am going to put a door on that emotion for a while. You may need to heal. It may be
Mhm.
okay. And so giving your permission to step back. When people say, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards, it's okay.
Yeah, you
Who
know what?
said you always have to be going forward? The cha-cha would be boring if it was only forward.
Yes, and you get to choose yourself each and every day, Laura Jane. You get to choose yourself each and every day.
Yes, and whatever one you choose to show. For years, I had a million hats. I had the home hat, the work hat, the friend hat, the child hat, and you put it on when you went into different situations. And eventually, I was able to just wear the Lara Jane hat.
Mhm,
That one that this is how I'm showing up everywhere
mhm.
because it's not worth the time to be different. It's like, it's okay. Just be you and know that you are beautiful for the who you are, not
Absolutely.
for,
It's exhausting to put on a different hat in so many different situations. I don't know where I heard this phrase at. I may have read it in a book or something, but, have you ever heard, "Everywhere you go, there you are"?
yes.
Like, you carry yourself with you everywhere you go, and so it's like the more you can lean into being authentically yourself and just wearing your Laura Jane hat and just wearing your Candice hat, then, you don't have to tire yourself out by trying to put on different hats in different situations, and you can just show up authentically who you are and love and embrace that.
I remember the weekend runs to the grocery store. And this is in my younger years when I thought it was really cool to be an executive and,
Mm.
just I'd go grocery shopping and I'd go, I'm in my jammies. I know, and there's not a person here that would know I'm a vice president of an organization.
Mhm.
Like, and I learned to appreciate however people showed up at the grocery store, that there's no reason to judge
Yeah.
because we all need time to not worry about what anybody else is thinking
Mhm.
and be comfortable with whatever stage of the day you're in. I don't think the butterfly is ashamed when it's caterpillar or it's
Mm.
hiding its little cocoon. It's allowing change and growth and progression.
Mhm.
And sometimes it hurts.
Mm.
Sometimes it's major changes,
Mhm.
but they're all for us to
Abs
experience and grow through.
Yeah. And that just when we talk about, being okay, like how you're showing up in the moment and just understanding that, people go through peaks and valleys, right? Different moments in their lives. It really is about adjusting your energy based on your capacity. And so if you're getting to a point where you are just, I just want to go to the grocery store in my pajamas, it's okay to not show up, in the traditional words of showing up all the time. It's okay to adjust our energy based on our capacity and how much we're carrying in the moment. It's all about self compassion.
Well, and nowadays we don't have to go to the grocery store in our pajamas. We can just Instacart it. So,
Right.
no shame on that one. But things change. What a great thing, especially if there's a young mother. I would have loved Instacart when I was at babies, of not having to put them in the car and take them to the
Yeah.
grocery store and have to, juggle so many things. And that's not that that was a bad thing or an awful thing to do, but I would Instacart it nowadays.
Oh my goodness, I can so relate, and my children are very close in age, so it was like I had twins, 2 strollers plus a shopping cart, and I can so relate. I would have loved to have Instacart back then.
So it's like, okay, but now they do. And so, use those things that help you. Like it is not a shame. Somebody was making funny of somebody for door dashing McDonald's breakfast.
Mhm,
And I went, if that gave them time
mhm,
to do the things they needed to do to be their authentic self, let them.
mhm.
And I'm like, it's no shame. There's no shame in letting someone else help you through your day. And now there's all these people that do it for fun or for their job, and we don't have to worry about it.
Right, right. And just talking about, reclaiming and managing our energy, right? What if that person didn't DoorDash their breakfast and they skipped breakfast and they jumped right into meetings and had all of the things going on? Like that DoorDashed McDonald's breakfast may have really set them up and energized them for their day. So, hey, if use what you can use, the tools and resources to, help you out. It's there for a reason.
And I think it helps us be more fulfilled in
Mm,
what we're doing. If we aren't having to deal with the mundane things. And as executives, as people in leadership, you have the income. You can
mm,
do this.
mhm,
Put it to work for you. It's like, it's okay. And I want people to feel free to not live up to the standards of this ruler or yardstick our parents gave us,
mm,
because life isn't what it was. However old your parents are, 80, 70, whatever. It's not, it's not the same. Don't let them judge you. I have this cute, cute grandson, and his mom makes all of his food. Like, she does not um, use the baby food. He's barely a year old. So, and her other parents dish on her for it. Why are you doing all that work? Why don't you just buy it? That's what makes her happy.
Mhm.
That's what she feels like she is doing the best thing for her son. That's her value. Why would we not want to love that in them? Now, if she's like me, I'm gonna have someone else do it, and I'm gonna go do something else. But she's not me. And I think it's beautiful when we can break out of the expectations we were given as kids. How many
Yeah.
times did you hear, "Shut up, you are to be seen and not heard."
Mhm. Mhm.
No, you're to be heard. You are a part of this world. Break out of those things. And
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? The bottom line is not just the expectations that were placed on us as children, but societal expectations
oh,
as a whole. Like, we are always going to be judged. And I think that the more comfortable we are with ourselves and the more self-awareness we have and the more at peace we are with ourselves and the more self-compassion we have, the less these societal expectations and this fear of judgment weighs us down. Fear of judgment really, it creeps in at the worst moments. It really, really does. In our work life, our home life, just in our lives, it creeps in at the worst moments.
well, and I'm not afraid of being judged for the things that
Mhm.
I like about me
Mhm.
or the things that I want to be.
Mhm.
But I am afraid of the things I'm not sure if I like it about me and somebody else
Mhm.
might not like it about me. And like if I said, "Oh my gosh, you have the ugliest short hair I've ever seen," if I thought maybe that could be true, I'm going to take offense. But
Yeah.
I don't care if you like it or not. This is how I want to do it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, there's not that judgment. But it's when you worry, like, who said it was not right to go to the store in your pajamas?
Mhm.
I'm not going to take somebody else's right, wrong, and give yourself permission to choose where you want to be you. When you know who you are, it's okay. Who cares?
Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
that saying as those who care don't matter and those who don't
Matter,
care
don't
matter?
care.
Yeah,
Yeah.
however that goes. And it's like, it kind of sounds kind of judgy. Well, you don't matter, but it's their opinion that doesn't
Mhm.
matter. They're still an important person. But your opinion of me doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And
I think when it comes to that statement, it's about, the people who are the most judgy. It's like, "Oh, I don't like that haircut," or, "That sweater doesn't go with that outfit." It's like, well, your opinion of my outfit really doesn't matter because I love it. And I feel like this is what makes me feel strong and powerful and all of the things. And then the people who really do matter, they're not gonna judge you.
they don't care what your
They're gonna
style is.
yeah,
Yep.
they're not gonna
But
judge you. They're gonna say, "You look great, go out there and rock it."
or you know what? Just one of the things is like, if you feel great, go for it.
Absolutely.
Like when someone's, do I look okay? How do you feel?
Yeah.
If you feel good, then you've got this. Then you look
Mhm,
great.
mhm,
Because half of what comes across as we walk into rooms is that confidence and that feeling and that soul that's underneath the clothes, not
mm,
is what people look. I've watched people walk in a room that have amazing command presence and you go, "Whoa, who is she?" And then if you like kind of step back and look at their clothes, you go, "Oh, that's kind of frumpy." But it's not what you saw first.
yeah,
Because what's underneath that confidence that this is me and my style, and I love it,
mm,
that's what catches people's attention, not
yeah.
that my blues didn't quite match or, "Oh my gosh, she's got a brown belt and black shoes. Oh my god," who
Who
cares?
cares? It really is all it's all internal. Yeah. You can step into a room and own it regardless of what you're wearing if you really feel that you have that confidence and that power, and if you know that you are the woman you will show it.
Yes, you will. And I'm thinking about that. And we started this off as career fulfillment. But what better way to fulfill in your career than to know you are your authentic self?
Indeed.
You are comfortable with not being able to spell in front of people. You are comfortable. Well, I had a guy that showed up and he says, I have to take a nap at 2:00. It's only 15 minutes, but I have to take a nap. It's every day. And that is an expectation. Go for it. People judged him, but every day he went out to a car or somewhere in the grass and took his 15-minute power nap at 2:00 in the afternoon. He was more successful because he owned his authentic self and he knew his limitations and built the expectation. It's like you didn't book meetings. He wouldn't show up. It was the expectation he had set. And if you can do that, you will feel more comfortable being you.
Yeah, absolutely. And the entire span of time, the bulk of the span of time that I was in my corporate career, I'm not a very I'm not a driving type personality wise. I'm not super assertive. And the more self awareness I gained and the more that I started to embrace who I am and how I kind of navigate through the world, I was able to step into rooms more confidently because my confidence was not super strong when everybody, in my corporate career, they were very assertive and they were the first ones to speak up in meetings. And, it's not that I didn't have things of value to say. It was that I'm not the one that I have to jump in front of everybody else. That was just not my personality type. And it took me years. I mean, probably close to a decade and a half to recognize and to do a lot of self-awareness work and self-discovery work to say, this is my personality type and I'm okay with that. I like the person that I am. And once I started to really love and embrace who I am authentically, then I was able to flip that switch and show up into rooms with more confidence. So you're absolutely right. It's all about authenticity and, just getting to know what works for you and who you are and stepping into a room loving yourself authentically. And it'll really shape the way that, your career kind of unfolds for you because I was always unhappy because I felt like I was doing something wrong or I was operating from a space of deficit and I wasn't, and it's great when you find that confidence and that authenticity and that love for yourself.
When you're talking about that, there are people that are very loud and need to get the attention. But have you ever noticed the person that catches your attention the most are the ones that whisper?
Mhm.
The ones that are not trying to be in your face, but are there and show up. Yeah. Yes, I'll bring up my point if it's needed. But 30 other people are going to bring it up also. So I'm okay with not having to be the speaker upper in the word, the person that needs to have the first word at the office. And if you are that person, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's your command presence. If
Mhm.
you're the person who sits back, that's okay. It's when we embrace our okayness, and that brings us power and fulfillment because now you're not trying to be somebody else.
Indeed. And one of the books that actually changed my life, I'm glad that you said that, is the people that you tend to notice are, the ones that kind of have that quiet power. And the book, I think it's called Quiet by Susan Cain. And it talks about the quiet power of introverts. And, I didn't really know how to lean into my introversion for a long time. But when I read that book, it kind of changed my life, talking about the quiet power of introverts.
I recently put that on my to read list. It's in my audiobooks and I have the hard copy, but I haven't started it yet.
Yeah.
But
Great book.
it's definitely we'll put that link will be in the show notes so we can grab it. But yes, that power of not having to catch attention. You're going to get it anyway.
Anyway,
You
yeah.
don't have to be loud and boisterous and all over and up and down things to get attention. Just do you and do you the best you can do. And that is when you're going to be happy at work. When you're constantly wondering if you're doing well enough or how much more I should be doing or if the boss is mad at me. You know what? If it's not you, let them. Let them be mad that you are a bird flying around and they want you to be a fish swimming. You can't be everybody's ideal thing because if we all were vanilla ice cream, there would be no choice. If we all were the butcher, there would be no fruits and vegetables. We need variety. And when we can embrace that our unique variety is what the world needs from you, then you can be more empowered.
Absolutely. I love that.
So, Candice, this has been fun. I have totally enjoyed your wisdom, the way you speak and bring information. So, why don't you share with us a little bit about yourself, how to get a hold of you, and then what's that one thing this week we're going to work on?
Yeah. So, just a little bit about me. I am a personal growth and an Enneagram coach. And I primarily love working with women who feel overlooked, undervalued, and misunderstood. And I can be found on mahoganeycc.com. And if you're somebody who loves social media, all of my social media platforms are on my website. So, the one thing that I would like to leave you is with a quick visioning exercise that you can do maybe at the start of your week, just to help you kind of grow more into your authentic self. So, find somewhere where you can sit quietly and envision your ideal workday from start to finish, from the time you open your computer until the time that you close it. Really visualize it in good detail. And then once you come out of your visualization, then write down 2 to 3 things that you can do throughout your work week to get you closer to that vision. So that's what I would like to leave you with so that you can find more fulfillment at work. Visualize your ideal workday from start to finish, and then write down 2 to 3 things that you can do during the week to get you closer to that ideal vision.
I love it because until we know where we're going, it's kind of hard to
get
know
there.
where to go. Like, where do I take the first step? Do I go right or left?
Yes.
You need to know. And know that it's okay to change your path. You can start going towards that silver lining that's due north and decide later that I want to go to the gold lining that's at the east. It's okay. Doesn't matter. You're
Of
that much
course, which is
closer.
why that visualizing exercise is so important, because you can do it every week. And if your vision changes, then your action steps can change and you'll still be on the right path.
I know. You're never on the wrong path. That is the fun part. All right, Candice, thank you so much for joining. Friend, I am not a medical or mental licensed professional, here for entertainment. Follow the advice of your doctors. But experiment, have fun, try things, and let that fulfillment of your life and your career come. Thank you, and stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss the next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.